Rio Angamo wasn't the only player to impress against Athletic Club, because in the second game, more of Liverpool's first team stars played, including Dominik Szoboszlai, who once again operated in that deeper midfield role. And now we don't know if he's going to be a mainstay in there, because obviously Alexis Mac Allister is still building fitness, so maybe he's going to take that spot. But it's going to be hard to take him out of the team because he hasn't pressed so much in midfield in that deeper role in pre-season. So do you think that now that the best pathway into the 11 for him, because last season he played as that number 10, but now that Florian Wirtz has arrived, obviously we expect him to play there. So is the best pathway for him into the team that deeper role where he can showcase his skill set as that all-round box-to-box midfielder?
Yeah, I just think he's a better profile fit for it, really, because he doesn't have the cuteness of a Wirtz or anyone you would traditionally see in the number 10. You know, he's not a bad footballer at all, don't get me wrong, but those little kind of touches around the corner and those, just the lightness of touch you really need in those incredibly tight spaces. He's not that type of footballer, and he's not a great finisher either, if we're honest. So, having him there, he did a brilliant job last season, and I think was unfairly maligned at times. But he's not the perfect fit for that. Whereas a number 8, where he's arriving late into a little bit more space because he is late arriving, he can time that run. Then he becomes a better shooter from those positions because of the timing of his arrival. And then everything else you get when you've got him in a deeper role, which is that legs, that energy in midfield, getting about, making challenges, covering off, counter attacks, which he did so successfully from an advanced role. But you get an even better version of that there. And he's got a good pass on him as well, through the firing it through the lines from deep as well. So it really looks a good fit for that. Now, of course, the flip side then is, how does that all work out? Because Liverpool's options there are absolutely insane. But I guess the manager would say that's a really good selection headache to have. And, from Szoboszlai's perspective, he's not going to do himself any harm by playing the way he has in pre-season, because I think he's been a revelation in that role, really. And, really put the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of who starts where coming into the new season.
Yeah, speaking of like the midfield selections there, you mentioned about how there'll be more rotation, and I did want to then say, do you think that everyone's spot in midfield is up for grabs? Because if you look at last season, one of the mainstays in the team was Ryan Gravenberch from that number 6 position, and he did exceptionally well because Liverpool obviously won a Premier League title and he was a key role in that. But do you think that now, because Szoboszlai's emerged as this option in deeper midfield, that maybe everyone could come in and out of the team? Because as well, you should consider the fact that Ryan Gravenberch has that red card that he has to deal with, so he won't be there for the first game of the season. So, yeah, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, we're not going to get a clear picture of this, really, because of the start of the season. The fact that there's going to be that suspension for Ryan Gravenberch in the first Premier League game. The fact that Alexis Mac Allister, fitness-wise, isn't quite there. So I guess we're going to get maybe 4 or 5 games in before we get an idea of what that is. And I'll be honest, I haven't a clue what that's going to be. There has to be more rotation this season. I mean, that's something I spoke about with people behind the scenes at Liverpool, really, is that there is an expectation that will happen, that the manager's happier with his squad, and that, the flexibility of some players is going to lend itself more to rotation. I mean, just to come away from the midfield for a second, I mean, in the front line, I think we're going to see a little bit of Frimpong in an advanced role. I think Engamo is going to come in from time to time. You're going to see maybe Wirtz off the left on occasion. So that gives you a bit more of a solid central midfield. I wonder if that's going to be something we'll see in kind of the tougher games going forward. But yeah, those options for rotation are there. And the fact is that there's got to be more rotation to keep everybody happy in that midfield, because, someone's got to miss out. There were 3 starting midfielders who you felt were nailed on for so much of the season last year, but they've now got Wirtz in that mix, and he's gonna have to start an awful lot of games because he cost over £100 million. So how exactly that works out, and what that kind of, who's in that deeper role, and whether we see sometimes Mac Allister and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch dropping out, and various mixes of that, is going to be really, really interesting. And it's a really tough one, because when the first big game comes around that everybody's fit for, what does the manager do? I'm very, very difficult to predict.